My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my ranking of the Uncharted franchise, and this video will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But some of these games are some of the greatest games ever made. I love this franchise. I think these games are fun, exciting, thrilling, emotional, and I love these characters: Nathan Drake, Sam Drake, Sully, Elena, Chloe, and I, I grew up watching the Indiana Jones movies, and these games have captured that spirit in a different medium, and they just completely work for me. So I do like all five of these games, but there has to be a worst one, and it's The Lost Legacy. And look, I still had a fun enough time playing this game. I like the character of Chloe, and I like seeing how far she's come. Like in Uncharted 2, she just wanted to get out of Shambhala and she just wanted to do the selfish thing. And here, you can just tell that she has grown. And I love seeing that. I think Nadine is a perfectly fine character here, just not my favorite. And I do think Sam Drake is underused. And I do think the story is generic. It just feels like a typical adventure. There's not much about it that really allows it to stand out, and it just feels like an extended DLC. Now, that said, the graphics still look amazing. I love the environments brought to life here, and I do think it can be really fun. It's more of the same kind of gameplay, but it also feels like their ambitions were pretty small here. So, like, it's never trying to be this great new amazing game, and I just think it's perfectly fine. It's not one I see myself going back to much at all, but I still enjoyed it enough while playing it. So that's why it's my least favorite. My second least favorite kind of kills me, and it's Uncharted Drake's Deception. And what frustrates me is that I love so much of this game. I love that area in France where you're in that building and it's falling apart and it catches fire, and that section is just phenomenal. I love the entire section where you have to rescue Sully on the boat, and you're in the shipwreck graveyard, I think is what they call it. And then you're on this very unstable ground, and then you go from boat to boat to boat. Then you make it onto this cruise ship, which is like walking back and forth. And then the ship starts sinking, and it's just some of the best gameplay in any game ever. I love it. The plane section is incredible, and the convoy scene is really fun. But I don't care for the story much at all. I think Marlowe and Talbot are really weak villains. I kept waiting for a more personal angle, and it just never happens. I kept waiting for an explanation of Talbot's abilities, and it just never happened. And then the decision to have Nathan and Elena to get married, but they're separated now, was just a baffling one which never worked for me. This game focuses much more on Nathan and Victor's relationship, and it didn't really add all too much to it, I thought. I didn't really care for Cuddle as a character, which I guess is a hot take. And there's just some sections here which I hate playing. Like, the entire desert section, I get why it's there, but it does go on for far too long. And the fact that he never gets water and then all of a sudden there's this action, it takes me out every single time. I don't like the hallucinogenic scenes. I don't like a good chunk of them actually. So it's just one that has some high highs, but it also has some low lows, and I still like it overall, but it's definitely a step down from some of the other ones. The third best Uncharted game is probably a hot take, but it's Uncharted Drake's Fortune, and I still have some issues with it, aka the jet ski section. But look, this is the first game of this franchise. It is meant to introduce us to the tone of this series. It's meant to introduce us to the characters, and it got me to fall in love with them immediately. I thought Nathan Drake, Elena Fisher, and Victor Sullivan were brought to life so perfectly here, and I just love this kind of adventure story. I like how at first they're looking for El Dorado, but then it turns out to be a statue, but then it turns out it's cursed. Like, it just escalates ever so perfectly, and despite the most part single location of this story, it never felt like a small story to me. And I just love the vibe of it. It's the first time we got to hear the music of this franchise, and it's just amazing. And yeah, it's really fun. I still think it holds up. The gameplay, the graphics still look pretty good. Like, obviously not as good as they get, but still, it's not distractingly bad or anything. And yeah, I don't know. I just love this game as setting the foundation of these characters and this franchise, and I think it's just great, so I love it, and that's why it's number 3. My second favorite game is Uncharted Among Thieves, and from moment 1, you're hooked. Like, you're on a train that's hanging off a cliff, so it's really fun to climb, but you also want to know how you got in this situation. And it's just the perfect hook to get you engaged. And I think the story is the perfect evolution of the first games. Like, it feels bigger, it's more emotional, it's more thrilling. You get more of the characters you love, and you get some great new characters. It's just an incredible script. And I think Nathan Drake is such a great, likable character. Elena Fisher is great as well, and I like how she brings out the best in Nate, while Chloe, who's also a great character, brings out the worst in him. She brings out the more selfish side. So I like how they both have a role in this game. I thought Sully continues to be a very likable character. Flynn is just the perfect character you love to hate. Yodarovich is very menacing, and I love his plan. So the characters are fantastic. The story and just how it goes from going after the Sintamati stone to how it turns out it's the sap of the tree of life is really well done. I love discovering Shambhala and the secrets of the Guardians and all that. That's really fantastic. I love the different environments here, how we go from like a museum to the jungle to the city to the mountains. It just feels more like there's more range to the visuals. I think the gameplay is just fantastic. The train sequence is phenomenal. I love the convoy scene. I love the scene when you're in the tower and it's getting shot down. Like, there is just so much to love here. The graphics look amazing, and that's why it's the second best of this franchise. But the best is Uncharted for a Thief's End. how do I even begin talking about this game? I just love everything about it. But the gameplay is a huge improvement. The addition of the grappling hook and the sliding and the thing that you stab into the wall is a complete game changer. This game feels so fresh and so new, and it's just so much fun to play. It's filled with great sequences, but the chase is just some of the very best. You know, you're behind a truck, you grapple onto it, you're climbing up, you're going from vehicle to vehicle, and then you get saved by Sam, and then there's just this awesome moment afterwards. It's just so thrilling and so much fun, and I love this game. I also love the addition of the more free roaming like aspects of it, and the graphics are just unbelievable. Grappling by a waterfall is just some of the coolest looking shit in video game history, and I just love it so much. So the technological aspects are just top freaking notch, but then we get to the script, and where to even begin? Well, let's talk about the main theme of this game, and it's about marriage. It's about Nathan and Elena, two people who love each other, and they want to live a normal life, but Nathan misses the adventure, and instead of being open about it, he lies and deceives his wife. He puts his perception of her onto her, and it creates a real mistrust between the two. And watching Nathan lie to her time and time again stings. And the scene where she finds out, holy shit, that hits hard. Like, it is a devastating moment. And then we get this entire section where you're working it out. You're working together and you're talking about it. And just these conversations feel so honest. They feel so real. And there's just one moment where you're just driving in silence and the music picks up and it's just beautiful. Like, it just makes you realize how far you've come to care for these characters, and you get to a point where there's this table and Nathan is talking about what happened to Henry Avery and his crew, and he knows he gets carried away, and he's just like, oh, I'm sorry, like, you know, he's getting carried away, he's sorry, but then he looks at Elena and he's like, I'm sorry. It's the most genuine apology ever, and she replies, I know. And you can just see that this is the reason why she fell in love with him. So the ending, when they find a way to still do some adventures, it's very satisfying. Like, they're trying to make the best of both worlds, and the ending with their daughter, holy shit, it's just so good. It really is. But then we get everything with Nathan and Sam, and how Sam has been lying to Nathan to try to get him to go on this adventure, and when you eventually find out the truth, it hits hard. But it's also how Elena felt when Nathan lied to her. And you can tell that Sam does love his brother, but he just went about this in the wrong way. And I really do love how that relationship is explored. And even how time affects everyone a little bit differently. Nathan got to have his adventures, and now he gets to move on. But Sam, he never had that. So he wants those adventures, while Rafe, he just won't let go. And it's just, everyone has the same goal, but they're kind of put at odds against each other, and I find that interesting. And Rafe is such a well-written villain. He is the standout of the franchise in that regard. And yeah, I just think it's very smartly written. I think it's very emotional, and Oh, I forgot to mention the entire, what's it called? Bid? Auction. There you go. That entire section just felt like a Mission Impossible game in the best possible way. So, yes, I love this one. I think it is the third best game ever made, just behind the Last of Us games. I think it is just incredible in every single aspect, so that is why it's my favorite of the franchise. But what's your ranking? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for more videos soon, and Gavin out.